In this episode of Highlight Sundays, Facebook, Google, Apple, and lasers. What more can you ask for? Hello and welcome back to Highlight Sundays. It is the 29th week of 2013 and here are your highlights. First, we're gonna start with lasers. Unfortunately, this piece about them isn't exactly the best thing ever. This article comes from Gizmodo and is entitled, "It's Dumb Easy to Wreck a $20,000 camera with just a couple lasers." So here's the deal. You've always heard things like don't point your camera at the sun, don't point a laser into the lens of your camera. Well, there is a reason for such saying. If you pop down to the Gizmodo article in the video description, you will find a video link to a red epic being destroyed by some lasers. Now, for those of you who are not aware, I am pretty huge fans of, Red Epic's line of professional cameras. Not because I own one or will be able to afford one in the near future, but they just look so cool and are relatively more affordable. So yeah, I do have some loyalty to that company and their products, so to watch some concert lasers just destroy the sensor of a Red Epic does kinda hurt. You can actually see what's happening here. Basically, a jib is holding a Red Epic, it's panning it across a crowd, and at one point of time it actually turns and faces one of those lasers, which they use at concerts. You can see it happens in a split second. The camera points directly at the laser. You can see one point on the screen where the laser hit the hardest, and from then on you get strange colors and lines across the image. According to the article, another Red Epic was hurt in a similar way, so repair costs aren't going to be very easily written off. So yeah, I suppose that's our PSA for the week. Don't point a laser at a camera, you will fry the sensor, and nobody likes a fried sensor. We move on to our second article from Engadget, and is entitled, "Apple Patent Hints at Possibility of Liquidmetal iPhone and iPad." Now, Liquidmetal is a material known as metallic glass. Supposedly, it's very easy to work with and it's very flexible. You can mold it into various shapes. It is also apparently pretty tough, but unfortunately very expensive. And apparently technologies aren't really in place to actually, mold large things out of this material, which is why right now this material is actually already used in iPhones, just for very small components like the SIM card slot. But now that Apple has actually partnered up with a company capable of actually working with this material on a larger scale, well, it's fully possible that, newer iterations of the iPhone, iPad, and similar devices will use a new material. This once again is a patent filing, which means that this does not confirm the existence of any products in the future, but seeing as that Apple went out and actually bought a company solely for this purpose, it's quite safe to say that this is something that is going to happen. Of course, we don't know when, but well, hopefully we see it sooner than later. We move on to the next article from Mashable, entitled, "Malicious QR Code Intercepts Google Glass Data." I would have put this article for our PSA slot, however, since the article itself mentions that this problem has already been fixed, so I guess it's somewhat less of a worry. But anyway, here's how the attack works. Now, the Google Glass OS is actually based off Android 4.0.4, and well, there is an exploit for this particular operating system. So from the outset, this is an old exploit. Your phone is already no longer vulnerable to this if you are using a modern phone. And here's how it works. When a camera of a device running Android 4.0.4 sees a QR code that has instructions for connecting to a Wi-Fi hotspot, the device will actually attempt to connect to that hotspot automatically. You can see that this isn't the world's greatest problem for an Android 4.0 phone, seeing as that, well, most of the time your camera isn't actually pointing at something important. However, things are slightly different for the Google Glass. Because it's mounted on your face, it has a camera that's pretty much on all the time. All you have to do is to actually look at a QR code that, encodes such information, and it's very likely that your Google Glass will get hijacked. Having said that though, it's not exactly a very easy attack to pull off, since of course you do actually need a Wi-Fi hotspot, pretty much near or beside the QR code itself. And of course the best part is this loophole has been patched very quickly. According to the article, now QR codes will only actually take effect when the user actually approves it. So you'll be happy to hear that this isn't an issue anymore, but I thought I'd bring this up because, well, this attack itself is pretty novel. Plus, of course, if you're a Google Glass owner, you would probably be interested and you would probably want to accept any patches that are coming in right now, seeing as that they might actually fix this vulnerability. We end off with a blog post on the New York Times entitled 2 Tips for Facebook Users. Now, here's the deal. I primarily shared this article because of the first tip. Back in the past, a Facebook user could send a message to anyone, and of course, when you have systems like this, spam starts coming in, and people, start getting spam messages from, spam accounts. One of Facebook's methods to actually counter this problem is to actually split your inbox into 2. If a user who is on your friend list sends you a message, it goes straight into your inbox, and of course, you get that notification. However, if someone who is not on your friends list actually tries to send you a message, however, when they hit send, Facebook shows them this pop-up that says, if you want this message to get their attention, pay $1 and your message will go into his inbox. If you choose not to pay up, well, you can still send your message. However, it will actually go into an auxiliary mailbox called Other. Now the problem is, you are not actually notified when your Other box actually receives any messages, and what that means is, important things might end up there, but you wouldn't know. You can head down to the article in a video description from the New York Times, and you can actually read up on, a short story about how someone discovered this feature, realized that they had important things stuck in that folder that they never saw, and also there are instructions on how you can actually, find that Other box in case, you want to do that as well to see if you've missed anything. Of course, it's really just 2 steps. Open up Messages and click on the Other button, and you'll be brought to your secondary inbox where, most of our spam goes. Well, for me at least. And that's it. That's all there is for this episode of Highlight Sundays. If you have any comments, queries or suggestions, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/0612tv. As always, I appreciate every like, favorite and subscription you give me. Until next time, you are watching 0612TV.